Okay, so I'm going live with some of the testimony on House Bill 314, which is an attempt to basically take away your right to public records. It's absolutely asinine and ridiculous. It is a part of the Uniparty co-sponsored by Republicans and Democrats alike. And I'll interrupt at times and talk about what it is. But here's some clown from a township that doesn't appear to live in America who's worried about public record requests to his township. So let me throw this up here.
Of a few people. In conclusion, transparency is a right, but it's not a weapon. We must find a balance that upholds the Public Records Act while closing the loopholes that allow.
So this guy, what this is about is a lot of us don't trust our governments because they're crooked, and they're crooked down at the township level. This guy might be crooked. They're crooked at the village level. We know that in Mount Orab. But what these people are trying to do is make it that if you make too many record requests, they can not honor your record request because they decided that you are not, you're a vexatious record requester. They will then can take you to court over it. They can stretch it out. They can hide records from you. It is absolutely asinine. And the issue, by the way, with why people request records is a lack of trust in government because these people are oftentimes crooked. They're secret from the citizens. So this guy ought to ask himself, instead of asking about how we prevent citizens from getting records, why doesn't this clown ask himself, how do we become that you can Google your government and see everything? That's what's so repulsive to me. So let me turn myself off here and turn him on.
Records to the records custodian. This is a formal public records request pursuant to the Ohio Public Records Act, RC 149.43. I request a complete copies of all public records relating to a resolution number 1218-2025-041 adopted at the December 18th of 2025 Medina Township meeting, described as permitting the fiscal officer to adjust department funds as needed for the year. This request includes, without limitation, number one, the full extent and signed resolution as adopted. Number two, all draft versions of this resolution. Number three, the complete meeting packet and all materials distributed to the trustees in advance of the meeting. Number four, all supporting documentation relied upon in proposing the adoption of the resolution, including but not limited to appropriation amendments, fund transfer documentation, budget adjustment worksheets, UAN system reports, fiscal officer memorandum, or internal analysis. Number five, all communications, including emails, text messages, or other electronic correspondences between trustees, the fiscal officer, legal counsel, township staff, or third parties concerning this resolution prior to its adoption. Number six, all records reflecting implementation of the resolution, including documentation of any department fund adjustment.
I think we get it.
Yes. So, and this is just one from.
Yeah, he gets it. Uniparty clown gets it. So the point is that why isn't this stuff, 90% of it should already be online? So when these townships and government entities go through a process of approving something, the records of it should be online and available to the citizens. And if they were, people wouldn't try to dig in deeper on things. So this is a blame the victim. This is another blame the victim. What do you want to bet? Now, this is a township, so it's a little different, but that a lot of times in villages, the things that people get upset about were passed by emergency.
I'm gonna leave you hanging.
Stewart. Chairman
Yes,
Stewart.
thank you,
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Unfortunately, I've got to leave to meet some constituents, so I'm gonna toss out a couple questions, concerns that everybody can wrestle with, but then I'm unfortunately going to have to go to that meeting. My concern is you obviously have a vexatious-ish person, okay?
How does he know that? How does he know the person's vexatious?
You're going to create more problems than it's worth, I guess, is what we're wrestling with. So, Mike.
This is typical Brian Stewart. The citizen is guilty, deemed guilty. He's vexatious.
Probably qualify as a journalist in 2026. If you're gathering information under our statute, you're a journalist. Therefore, everybody's going to claim to be a journalist, and the statute's not going to do anything. That's number one. Number two, I do think, maybe not you guys, but I do think there's just a lot of public officials who may be inclined to say, this feels vexatious to me. I'll deny the request. I'll force them to take me to court. They won't have the money to do that, and they'll just go away. And this will be a club to sort of keep legitimate requests from actually being fulfilled. And number three, and maybe this is, you could speak to the most, if we just amended this bill to say, you can charge for staff time, right? In addition to the copy of the piece of paper, if you're tying up a government worker for, 40 hours a week, we get to charge you for the time. Would that not be a more objective, verifiable deterrent than trying to get into this subjective determination?
This is absolutely disgusting. What they want to do is use uncapped cost, like what they've done with body cam. It's capped at $750, but they want to use money to keep you from being able to get records. You already pay for all of the systems the government is using. Why aren't they using the systems like a company would? Isn't it funny how almost anything you can Google your government on? I mean, you can Google a company, you can find all this kind of stuff online, but our government doesn't seem to be able to handle technology. They can get data centers and stuff. But the point is, they get the notion of charging people exorbitant and ridiculous prices for records access. This is what they want to do. This is what somebody like Brian Schreiber in Claremont County would be getting a, on. Part of him would be getting solidified by the idea that he could do this, because they want to scare off your ability to get records by making it cost a ridiculous amount of money. And so Brian Stewart will probably go down that path, because I don't have a high respect for Brian Stewart. I wanted to hear what he said, but he right out of the gate, he introduces the idea of, how about we just make people have to pay an uncapped expense or a ridiculously large expense of staff time. So if you have to have staff prepare your records, why don't you have to pay for them? And we'll charge you some ridiculous rate per hour to do that. This would be just another way that the government, this whole area of the Public Records Act, when you look at what's happening in Mount Auburn and other places, this whole area needs somebody in the legislature to work on actually liberalizing public access. So what has happened in the last couple of years is your access to records is at every turn, like there's usually one or two revisions of the Public Records Act every year, and every revision is to take away your rights. They took away your right to body cam without paying up to $750. They took away your ability to just take a legal action once the public body hadn't complied by putting in some bullshit 3-day cure thing. Every change is making it harder and harder to get records in Ohio. And somebody at some point needs to stand up and say, this has got to stop. And people in Mount Auburn and other places, you need to be thinking about this stuff. These clowns in Columbus, and go ask Justin Pozzoli, go ask Adam Byrd, where do they stand on more transparency in public records or less? These people will try to have less and less transparency. And it doesn't matter Democrats or Republicans, that's what they want, less transparency on records.
Here. And I'm totally on board. I said last week to the sponsors, I'm very familiar with this. I was on city council before I was here.
Totally on board, right? Fuck the citizens. We hate the citizens.
Oftentimes.
Totally on board. Totally on board with taking away the rights of citizens to get records, because you're another probably crooked politician. Okay? The politicians when the whole world is about transparency, and Vivek saying uber transparency, you got the clown show of politicians. This is a Democrat wanting to have more barriers to you being able to get access to public records versus more accountability. How about this one? How about have fines on public officials that violate the Public Records Act? How about that? They'll never do that, because the club doesn't do that. The club is just about making it more difficult for you to get public records.
Can you educate me on that then?
Yeah, so right now it is for the police, and so it's $75 an hour, up to $750, if I understand it correctly. That's, which is good. It's a good step forward, but you kind of left out the other group, So if we could just even like
this guy must be a fucking communist, Democrat, liberal, whatever, because he just said it's a good step forward that you have to pay $750 to get body cam of police incidents. That's not a good step forward. This is my point. It doesn't matter if they're Republican or Democrat. Your government wants to be able to keep every little piece of information on you while they prevent you from getting information on them. And this man is disgusting. And I want to say that. And by the way, in America, I think I'm allowed to have that opinion, although they'll probably have some law or somebody will take action against me that I'm not allowed to have an opinion. That it is absolutely disgusting that these people keep doing everything in their power to take away your right to get the public records. Again, if you're Mount Orab, if you're Adams County, remember these people. That's where the rubber hits the road. They like to have these ridiculous examples. The rubber hits the road that they when you get screwed over. And this guy was bit. I'm hearing him on my ear a little bit. This guy was talking about some vexatious thing over some measure they took. Hey, I'd like to know from the person making the request. Why don't they contact me? What did this township trustee group do to you to get you to a point, a level of trust that you were making those kind of requests? Okay. The township trustees probably have done things to not deserve any trust. And therefore, the citizens want to be able to inspect their records. The reason why they're called public records is they are your records. This is a very disturbing trend. And this man, if you live in Moraine or wherever he's from, seek him out and give him a talking to about it's our government, clown. It's not your government.
Mr. Bruce Christopher, welcome to committee.
By the way, why don't they have facility for people to be able to remotely testify in these House proceedings? You have to go to Columbus. You sit there all day. This meeting started at 11. You wanted to sit there for several hours just to get to this point if you wanted to speak. So why don't they have a facility? Why doesn't our loving representatives that care about us have a facility for us to be able to participate in these hearings remotely?
But how about if I switch it to good afternoon? I want to thank the chairman, ranking member, and members of the committee. Thank you for the time and willingness to address the issues that impacts not only Medina Township and Medina County, but the entire state of Ohio. I want to make it very
Are we going to address crooked politicians that lie to the citizens and hide things? Is that what we're going to address?
public record request. This is about transparency.
He just said it says about legitimate record request. Isn't about legitimate requests. So he's going to define what's legitimate, though.
Requests that are being used not as a tool for transparency, but as a weapon to disrupt and harm local governments. These harassing record requests have imposed severe financial and operational burdens on our township. On a conservative estimate, we spend at least 40 hours a week responding to these requests. When legal review is required, the costs rise substantially, especially when the cases are referred to outside counsel. Based on discussions with other officials across Ohio through the Ohio Township Association, as well as prosecutors, city representatives, it would not surprise me if this problem accounted for millions, and I should have changed that to multi-millions of dollars wasted each.
How much money is wasted by crooked politicians? Like you're probably a crooked politician, Bruce.
The constant harassment barrage of requests has taken.
How about the way we're harassed by politicians that keep secrets from us?
In one particularly disheartening example, our newly elected fiscal officer resigned after only 9 months, stating she did not sign up for this kind of behavior. The human toll of harassment is real and damaging. To illustrate the extent.
What is the human tool of harassment on the citizens, dumb shit? How about your harassment of them? This is what these people live in their own little world, their own little club.
Year. Nick Dominguez did this in 1 year. Nick Dominguez is now on his 7th 4-inch binder, beginning this campaign of harassment on February 2nd, 2023. He's soon going to be on his 8th 4-inch binder. Those, next to those, is a 2-inch.
By the way, don't these guys have any computers? You know, this guy looks like he's old. He's dealing in the world of everything's in a binder somewhere. So kind of a clown show statement.
Under normal circumstances, that single binder would easily hold 5 or 6 years worth of requests. The contrast is stark. Mr. Dominguez is not alone. Other individuals.
I don't know about this Mr. Dominguez, but my bet is that Medina Township has done some things that have caused people not to trust the elected officials, because I've almost always found that's when record requests go through the roof. Like Mount Orab, all of a sudden they get a bunch of record requests because you can't trust anything they're telling you.
It appears that some of these individuals are now acting out of resentment, not genuine civic concern. What makes matters worse, many of these offenders do not
Who defines genuine civic concern?
reside in other townships, but they go around targeting these townships. Their actions extend beyond Medina Township. Similar patterns of harassment are being recorded across our county, Montville, Lafayette, and other places, and across.
Let's see if this guy ever talks about any efforts they're making to put more records online, to have more open transparency so people don't have to make requests. He won't talk about that.
Urgently need the legislators' help to find a balanced and fair solution, one that continues to protect the public's right to open records while providing local governments tools to prevent intentional harassment and abuse. This help is in the form of HB 314. I just want to give you a couple short examples. Nick Dominguez, on January 13th of this year, put in a public record request. He wanted the trustees' minutes for January, February, March, April, May, June, the entire year. The year was 1925, not 2020, but 1925. So I guess he cared what happened 100 years ago. Same request he put in for 1975. So 50 years ago he cared. He didn't care. And each one of those is a public record.
So this guy is an absolute clown, because every government entity would have a record retention policy of how long they keep certain things. And I would be shocked that there's any record retention policy that has, we keep records for 100 years. So there is a record retention schedule for every government body. They're supposed to have, maybe these guys don't have it, but that record retention schedule shows how long we keep certain things. So if you request things outside of that range, they'd be like, we don't have them anymore. We destroy records after a certain date. So this guy is either just, maybe there's some law that says that they have to keep minutes forever. I don't know. Maybe there is, but then they should, if they don't like that, they should get that law adjusted on how long they have to keep minutes, not be telling people that they can't get records or trying to prevent people from getting records.
All supporting documents relied upon in proposing the adopting resolutions, including but not limited to appropriation amendments, fund transfer documents, budget adjustment worksheets, UAN systems approach, and on and on. She goes on to ask for metadata information. This is nothing. These take us a lot of time to fulfill, a lot of time. And this has nothing, you know, binders. I was advised not to. So I want to thank you for your attention to the critical issue and your ongoing service to the people of Ohio. Sincerely, trustee.
Now, maybe this Bruce guy was talking about, or whoever the guy, Nick, or whoever was doing all these requests, maybe the guy's an a-hole, but I find a lot of times that there is issues caused by the lack of transparency. And what I'm going to do real quick, I think I found, hopefully I got the right one, but I'm going to put up here, let's go look at it. Okay, this is more Medina Township. Okay, so let's go look. There's another person talking about Medina Township. This is Medina Township. Medina Township. I think I got the right one. Let's see if I got it up on the screen correctly so you can see it. Let's see how transparent they are. Maybe they'll be transparent. I haven't looked at this. I didn't know who was going to talk here today. Let's go meeting minutes, trustee minutes. Okay, so they have minutes for 21, 2, 3, 5. Where's 24? Okay, there's 24. Okay, so they have that online. So there should be, if they're going to change the laws, there should be specific laws that all these things have to be online. What needs to be online? I'm in Florida right now, and for a condo association, there's a list of like 30 things that by Florida law have to be online for a condo association. Why don't we have that in Ohio for a township? That they have to have minutes online, agendas online, meeting notice online, blah, da, 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 da. So they have more than a lot of townships do online here. Okay. but I can't dig in much more than this. Let's look at their calendar and see if their calendar. I thought I saw calendar, regular meeting dates. Okay. So they have a good calendar online. So they have a website that's for a lot of trustees. Have a lot worse than this, a lot worse than this. Okay. So let's go back and listen to this guy. This is another Medina Township. Apparently there's some big issues in Medina Township.
These requests illustrate how public records process can be used in a manner that strains limited public resources. We're currently evaluating the need to convert 2 valued part-time employees to full-time status in order to meet operational demands, including the public records compliance. The change would significantly increase township payroll obligations, including over $32,000 just in healthcare alone. Further impacting township finances, we respectfully request your consideration of House Bill 314 and step towards a balance of government transparency, responsible stewardship of taxpayer resources. Medina.
By the way, just so you know how this, how testimony works like this, is when there's a bill, there's an introduction of the bill where just the sponsor talks. Then there is a hearing that is just proponents. That's what this is. This is just the people that are for the bill. That's the only people you're going to hear talk, people for the bill. So far, we've just had people all from the same township where apparently there's some issue in this township with some residents. I don't know that we should craft a law in Ohio based on one township that has a particular issue. Then there will be a thing on for opponents to the bill. And then there is an interested party. So there are like 3 hearings, proponents, opponents, and interested parties. And this is currently the proponent testimony.
And out of respect for your time, I know you have places to go and I don't want to take up, it's been a long day for you. May I read just one request?
This is a government thinker. It's 1:18 p.m. and he's talking about how it's been a long day for these government people. Dude, there's a lot of your constituents that have to work more than one job to make ends meet because of the high taxes that they have to pay.
Minutes approved in 2/12/26 trustee meeting and attach supporting documents that are filed with the written minutes in obtained minutes binder.
I'm sorry, Mr. Eber, are you going to read this?
Do you have one that's, this was dated February 21st. Do you already have it?
7:34 p.m.?
Yes.
Yes,
If you
we've
have
got
it,
it.
then I
Yeah, that's okay. We get the idea.
okay.
By the way, I would encourage people, I never make record requests that's not for something I need for a purpose that I believe is valid. So do not be, sometimes people abuse the system. Sometimes politicians abuse the system most all the time. But my thing is, do not make requests. If somebody is making requests just to be irritating, don't do that. Do not do that. That is a waste of everybody's time. And that is wrong. And the repercussion could be is that these clown politicians will end up clamping down on everybody over that.
Respond. And is there a certain agency that you file a complaint with? What do you typically do in a situation like that?
So we've attached ourselves very closely to the county prosecutor.
By the way, this is one of the Somali reps that just asked, and he apparently doesn't know anything about how public records law works.
We try to answer everything we got. We don't, if the county prosecutor deems something as too broad we follow the ORC. If it says too broad, then we come back and we say, if you can clarify this, minimize it. Sometimes they're asking for stuff that is not a public record, but we utilize the prosecutors more than they care. But they've been extremely good, to help us. But they're at a point where they need help. And it's not just, we were just at a conference here in Columbus.
I think that these guys need to figure out if they have an issue of trust with one or more citizens within their community that's causing a lot of record requests, they need to address also what are the issues of trust with them that has caused this to happen. Now, there could be just a kook, and the person that's doing this, contact me. I'd like to hear your story. We have to remember government tends to serve its own purposes. They like to keep lies from us, and we need to be very, very careful about doing anything that gives government more rights to hide information from us.
Seeing no further questions, thank you for your testimony. Just note for the record, there are a number of written-only testimonies for this bill. And that's going to conclude the second hearing for House Bill 314. Okay, one more.
He said that would conclude, but maybe they have one other one.
All right, now going to call up House Bill 557 for its third hearing. Please note there are two written-only testimonies for.
Okay, so that's it. That was all there was for this particular bill. The entire proponent testimony was all guys from the same township. so I'll try to contact that township and ask them about their thing and see if they'll do an interview with me about what's going on and what created the public trust issues that this has happened. So, all right, so that's House Bill 314. I'm really lit up about this because I think that we need some reps and maybe some reps in our region, like Pizzoli, Byrd, Schmidt, to be part of a reform of the Public Records Act to give us more access to records, not less. The things that are going on in Mount Orab, Adams County should be canaries in the coal mine to us of our government hiding records. It happens all the time. Even if you know about them, you have trouble getting the records. But that is House Bill 314, which is all about trying to restrict access to records. That was the proponent testimony. So that's the big winner testimony. That's the people for it. And that was pretty lame, actually. Their whole proponent testimony was three people all from the same township, apparently having an issue with one particular person making a ridiculous number of records requests. But I'm interested